Okay, so New Year's resolutions. It's a pretty old practice, but the habit of breaking them is just a few days younger. How many of us have made New Year's resolutions?
Ever or this year?
This year. This year, yes. One person. 2, 3. All right, yeah. So, okay, so how many of us are 100% satisfied with our life? 1, 2.
I'm lying.
Okay. And how many of you are lying? Both of you. Oh, okay. So in other words, so anyway, the topic today, I wanted to talk about shaping our life, because that's what differentiates us from animals. For instance, geese, they fly south. And what if south doesn't look too good? Too bad. You're flying south this winter. But humans, we don't have to fly south. We don't have to go south. We don't have to go anywhere in particular. We are in control of our life. And that's something that we really need to think about. So we all want to change. No one's 100% satisfied with their life. We all need to make some kind of improvement. We need goals, in other words. The other day I purchased a bow and arrow and decided to do some, start using it in the backyard against a hay bale. But then I realized that it's just kind of boring aiming towards the hay bale, so I was missing something. What was I missing? I was missing a target. And having a target helped me to understand whether I was doing well or not with that bow and arrow.
Over to your house, James.
I'm sorry?
That's why you invite me over to your house.
Yeah, I usually have Eric stand there with an apple on his head, but year in, year out, he gets really injured, and he didn't like that anymore. But yeah, using a target helps me to understand whether I'm doing better or not, because that makes the whole experience more interesting. Anyone who's been shooting here will understand that if you just went shooting without a target, then what are you doing? You're just wasting time, really. If you have a bow and arrow, that's not enough. Having a life, being born into this world, is not enough. It's what you're going to do with it that really matters. And I think in one sense, Heavenly Father is looking at us and He's wondering, okay, what are you going to do with this life? I've given you a Ferrari. Stop driving it like a Yugo, for heaven's sakes. It's a Ferrari. So that's the potential. That's the unlimited potential that we have as human beings. And yet, without the right training, without the right understanding, without the right kind of practice and dedication, we cannot really learn to drive or to reach the maximum potential that we're capable of. So, there's many verses in the Bible about goals, 44 of them. Let's go through them quickly. No, I'm just kidding. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. That's in Proverbs. New Testament stuff. I press on towards the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. It's Jesus recorded in Matthew. So basically, we have an opportunity to shape our lives. And the difference here is that we have as human beings, we either make a life or make a living or design a life. And without goals, life deteriorates into just making a living, which is enough, but it's not satisfying, it's not fulfilling. But if we have goals, then we can have the opportunity to shape and design our life by shaping and designing our character. And as Earl Nightingale pointed out, never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. I think the real danger is not in not making a goal or not reaching a goal, but coming to 2017 having not done anything to change your situation or improve it. I think that's the real tragedy. When we study the teachings of Reverend Moon, we come to understand what Jesus' mission was. For the first time, maybe in human history, we've been exposed to what was Jesus trying to accomplish. Not even Jesus' own disciples were all that clear on what his mission was. And there's been a lot of confusion over the last 2,000 years as to whether or not what Jesus' mission was. But we caught glimpses of it, but it wasn't enough to really fulfill the mission. So Jesus, as we have learned, wasn't able to fulfill his mission as the Messiah on the earth. Was his life a failure? I'll let you just think about that. Was Jesus' life a failure because he wasn't able to fulfill his mission? So without any goals, and we'll come back to that at the end. We'll not leave that as an open-ended question. So why don't we move forward? Why don't we make the necessary changes in our life? I think it's because we don't have enough reasons to change. We've lost track of our reasons, we've blunted our reasons, or those reasons just don't come to mind anymore. But as one wealthy man said to another, if you had enough reasons, you could accomplish the most extraordinary things. Who in here has heard of Jim Rohn? Jim Rohn is a famous businessman, lecturer, speaker, and he was, when he reached 25 years of age, he was broke, and he wasn't going anywhere. And he said, at that time, I would very much easily blame the company I worked for. If they pay me this much, how can I make a living? How can I be successful if they pay me this much? He only later understood by communicating with this mentor that it was his philosophy of life that had led him to that particular stage, that had led him to that particular outcome. So it was only when he started to question his own philosophy and change his own philosophy of life that he was able to pick himself up and go on to become a very successful businessman. And I think, and he defines success in being able to do what you set out to do. So he says, if you have the desire to go live in the woods and feed pigeons your whole life, and you've accomplished that, then you are successful. You're fulfilled in what you do, in other words. That's his definition of success. It doesn't come in external trappings. In other words, your bank account balance is not a reflection of your value. It's not a reflection of your intelligence. It's not a reflection of you, but rather your potential is so much more if you can change your philosophy. Okay? So Jesus' philosophy, what was that? That's something we need to look at. And the fact that you strive for an incredible goal and don't make it doesn't make you a failure. Jesus, I don't think anyone can say that Jesus' life was a failure, even though he wasn't able to accomplish his mission. If you think about the transformative effect of Jesus' life and the transformative effect it had on the rest of human history since his life, you can't really say that his life was a failure. And yet, Jesus wanted to accomplish more, much, much more than what he was able to do. So there's all kinds of reasons. How many reasons do you have to change? There's personal reasons. For instance, you want to be successful because of the way it makes you feel, for the happiness that it gives you. You want to be successful for family reasons. We're kind of wired that way, actually. If you think about the things that give you the most joy, recently we just had Christmas. Were you most happy with what you were able to give, or were you most happy with what you were able to receive? Are you the happiest when you're able to give a fantastic gift, or are you happiest when you're receiving a fantastic gift? Are you most proud of yourself by receiving a fantastic gift, or are you most proud of yourself when you're able to give a fantastic gift to another human being? We are really wired to be helpful to one another. We are really wired to be happiest when we are being of most service to the people around us, when we are able to help other people. If you imagine, what does the kingdom of heaven look like in your mind? I was driving along today on the way to church, and I was thinking, what would the kingdom of heaven look like? And I just thought it would be a world filled with courteous drivers. Somebody's trying to get into the road. Oh, okay, come on in. Yeah, merge. Go ahead. You know. There's been an accident. People stop. They're concerned. They want to help. They want to do something. You know, it's a world filled with people who are looking out for each other and helping one another. Successful people, what do? They feel, oh, yeah, I'm number one. Yeah, look at me. No, successful people are like, oh, I was able to get success. Do you want me to help you to do the same thing? How can I help my fellow citizens accomplish the same success that I've been able to in my life? Okay? It's not a world where people are putting each other down. It's a world where people are lifting each other up. In my mind, that's the kingdom of heaven. So that kind of vision, in my mind, I should be trying to live a lifestyle in which I'm improving myself to try to fit into that world. Would I fit into the kingdom of heaven? And this is what I don't understand about this ideology of you make one simple change in the end of your selfish, miserable, clotty life, and you go, yeah, Heavenly Father, forgive me. Boom, you're in heaven. Like, what have you done to shape your character to fit into that world? You're not going to feel very comfortable in the kingdom of heaven if you haven't shaped your character, okay, to fit into that world. You're going to feel extremely uncomfortable, okay, until you make those changes and learn to become less selfish and learn to become a person who's able to love God and love his or her fellow humans. And that's the way in which you are able to comfortably slide into the spirit world, and it's just one transition to another, and yet you are very comfortable in the spirit world. Otherwise, I think you go to the spirit world and you're like, hey, take me to the level where I'm most comfortable. The selfish, individual, looking out for myself only world. That's the world I grew up in. That's the world I thrived in. That's the world in which I was able to, live in and feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable in any other environment. So I think if we imagine the spirit world as being just a continuation of our personal philosophy and the world in which we live in our own mind, then we had better make the necessary changes in order to get ourselves ready to live in the kingdom of heaven. So there's benevolent reasons. I want to help society. I want to make contributions to my church, charities, and so forth. That's another reason to be successful. And there's nitty-gritty reasons. Nitty-gritty. Lots of different reasons.
It's your nitty-gritty, man. It's the
Well,
good stuff.
that's the good stuff, right? So, so reasons lead to answers. Often we find at the beginning of our journey we're lost. We have no idea how we're going to get to our goal. But that's okay. Answers have a funny way of revealing themselves to people who look for them. Okay? So if you have enough reasons to advance your life, to do whatever it is that you want to do, then you're going to find the ways in which to accomplish those things. This is the quote from Faust, from Goethe. He says, "Then indecision brings its own delays, and days are lost lamenting over lost days." Do you ever have those? Oh no, I wasted so much of my life. I'm going to be miserable now for the next few days thinking about how many days I've wasted. It's like in sports, you know, you miss a goal and you're so upset with yourself that you can't function for the next 5 minutes because you just keep thinking about the past and how miserable and how bad and blah, blah, blah. And you see this often in tennis matches. A person misses a shot, and then after that, they just lose the next 15 points, and they just can't function because they just can't get that one thing out of their mind instead of just picking up, you know, moving forward. And then the best tennis players are the ones that can shrug defeat off their shoulders and keep moving towards their goal. They never lose sight of their goal. It's a relentless pursuit of that one single goal, and they don't let anything dissuade them from going towards that goal. Even if they don't make it at the end, if they're playing a tennis match, for instance, they will have lost after battling really hard throughout the entire match, and that's how they lose. And so a person who's playing against a world-class tennis player knows this is going to be tough. Even if I win, I'm going to have to take this game away from my opponent. They're not going to give it to me. So that's the difference between a person with a clear goal and never letting sight of that goal versus somebody who's like, well, I'm just having fun, you know. And you've heard this airline analogy where somebody's taking off from one airfield to another. Eric's going to love this because he's sick and tired of hearing this example. But I think it's a great example.
What, not a foundation example?
No, there's no picture of a foundation in this one. Here's an example. You take off on a plane, and you're heading towards New York from Sacramento to New York, and you have a destination in sight. If you don't make minor adjustments along the way, you're going to end up somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, because along that flight, the wind is buffeting the plane, it's moving it slightly this way, that way. So you have to always keep making corrections in order to accomplish your goal. If you don't know where you're going, of course, anywhere is fine. But if you want to land in New York, you have to make constant adjustments and directions. So, finally, for those of you who are already thinking, gosh, this sermon's gone on long enough, here's a review. Okay, so we have the responsibility to create and develop our character. Now, character is an interesting word. Its root is the mark left behind by a chisel or a stamp. And that's something that we build. We're born with some fundamental, rudimentary character, but the development of our character is our responsibility. That's not something that is going to land on you from your genetic lineage. So we have the responsibility to create and develop our character. Character is shaped over a time period by making thousands and thousands of little decisions. Eventually that gives rise to our character. We need goals in order to track our progress, and our happiness is tied into our goals. Our happiness is shaped by our progress towards a worthy ideal. As Earl Nightingale's definition of success was, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. So if you compare that to charisma, which is the attraction that other people have to you, character is something very different. And we shouldn't mix the two together. So for instance, Alexander the Great, he was a charismatic leader and made many external accomplishments in his life. But nobody's really impressed by the cities that he named after himself or after his horse. And when he died, he had this magnificent burial and all that stuff. But right now, he's only really interesting to historians. Jesus, on the other hand, born after Alexander, he didn't have an army. He didn't name any cities after himself. He had a very inglorious death and burial. And yet, because of his character, he's shaped human history since then. So character is really something we're aiming to shape by setting up goals. And we need goals in order to measure our progress. So character is what's left after charisma is gone. If you're if you're marooned on a desert island, charisma is not going to do much for you, because it depends on other people being around you. But character will serve you in good stead. So in America, we are in an environment where we are free to change ourselves. We are free to pursue our dreams. Everything we need to be successful is within arm's reach of us here in America. That's the environment that we're living in. And if we're not doing something to change ourselves, then we have to only blame ourselves for that. I think, like I said at the very beginning, God is really desperately looking at us and wondering, okay, what are you going to do with this incredible life that I've given you, all this potential to change, to grow, to be a magnificent person? What are you going to do? Shape yourself. We have that responsibility. But again, because it's our responsibility, nothing's going to happen. And it's only going to happen if we do something about it. I remember going to this talk once, led by a very successful multi-millionaire guy in this business that I was interested in. And this was like a small talk, and he was giving this to people who were supposedly really interested in this business. And he said, I can just tell you right now that 80% of you are not going to do anything. After leaving this room, you're not going to do anything. You're going to hear all these words, you're going to get some ideas about, yeah, I'd like to do this, but you're not going to actually do anything. And that's the sad situation for God, looking at us, giving us inspiration through the prophets, through the Messiah, through scriptures, through sunsets, for heaven's sakes. You know, God is giving us so much to try to shape us and help us to shape ourselves, and yet we don't do anything. Because that's the environment we're living in. We're not in the kingdom of heaven. We're not supporting each other. So we have to fight against a whole bunch of resistance. There are forces in this world that don't want you to be successful. That are going to cripple you if you try. How many of you, some of you for instance, were really smart growing up at school, and the classmates around you were jealous, and they were making fun of you for being, so smart.
Oh yeah, that happened all the time.
And how much of an effect is that going to have on you wanting to be successful? In my family, I remember hearing words, referring to rich, successful people. You've heard the expression, stinking rich. Now, if you've grown up listening to that term, stinking rich, would you want to be a rich person? Or would you sabotage yourself every time you're in danger of becoming rich? You have to think about the kind of philosophy that you have. That's the philosophy that we have has led us to this point in our life. Okay? And it will take us to whatever point it's taking us to. Where is your philosophy taking you to? Where has it dumped you? We all have issues. We all have things that we need to work on. We all have goals that we should make. Measurable goals. Any kind of goal is better than no goal. Going back to Jesus' example, Jesus was trying to build the kingdom of heaven on earth. He only half made it. Was he successful? In my books, yes, he was tremendously successful, even though he wasn't able to fulfill his goal. But history can be the testament to the fact that by trying with all his might, with all his heart, with all his strength, with all his faith, by trying, he was able to bring about an incredibly positive transformation to the lives of billions of people. Think about what you could do, what we could do with our life, the life that God has given us, if we just try to aim for some massive goal. Because after all, it's massive goals that stir things inside of us. We make a small goal, it doesn't really excite us that much. You accomplish a small goal, it's like, great, pat on the back. But if you make some kind of massive goal, you strive towards it all your life, and even if you fall short of making it, your life is not a failure. You have, I'm sure, inspired everyone around you to live a better life. And after all, building the kingdom of heaven is a team effort. It's not done by one single person alone. It's a kingdom. It's not inhabited by one or two people. So that is the world that we should think about in our mind. We should all think about our talents. We should all think about what contributions we can make to society, to the people around us, to our family. We should have respect for ourselves, love for ourselves. We should care enough to want to care about others. So I hope that when we walk away from this Sunday sermon, that we will do something to change and improve our lives. Even if it's just in some small way, just aim for something. Find a target. Look for one. Write down 100 reasons and choose one of them. Go for it. Don't let 2017 come by and look back at 2016 and think, oh God. Okay? I'll see you back in a year. We can compare notes. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly parents, true parents, thank you so much for this opportunity that you've given us to be the people that you have been looking for all this time. And I pray that we can understand the power at our disposal, that we can understand that we are the ones that are going to make the changes that are going to change our life. Yes, you can inspire us. Yes, you can bombard us with your love and your blessings, but until we decide to respond to those, nothing is going to change in our lives. Nothing is going to be shaped in our character until we make certain decisions to go towards you. So please help us to have the faith and the courage to take a step forward this coming week. That we can go forward and not backwards, that we can go forward and not stand still, and that we can always look at ourselves with pride and joy and understand the value that we bring to other people in our lives. We thank you and we offer this prayer through Christ our Lord, our Jew and Amen. Okay, so let's take some time to discuss whatever's on your mind with your closest neighbors and relatives.